So, welcome to the Mystic Short Form teaching. As we begin today, I'd like to offer my gratitude to my friend, Mark Kingham. Mark is from Ireland. He's a Gong teacher and a Chinese medicine practitioner. Mark was the inspiration for this form. Thank you, Mark. I bow down in gratitude and appreciation for all your work. So there are 6 poses in this form. The first pose is we start with the prayer pose, where we bow down. And what are we bowing down to? So at the beginning of most practices, it's often useful to start with a prayer or an intention, whichever language you prefer. So as I begin the practice, I set my intention that I can feel more peace in my life, or I have less fear, whatever your prayer or intention is. So we start with that at the beginning, setting our intention, our prayer. And we're also bowing down is a good practice for the ego, because it's a form of humility. It's basically saying, as the Dalai Lama says, I'm only here because of the kindness of others. So I'm bowing down to the acknowledgement that I am interdependent on all the world around me for my existence. I'm not a narcissistic, separate island, disconnected from everything else. Rather, I'm completely the opposite. Or as Carl Jung would say, this is my small self, and I'm bowing down to the big self with a capital S, down to, if we put it into other language, other context, I'm bowing down to oneness, my Buddha nature, to the divine, the universe. So it's a really good practice for the ego to practice humility. As Eckhart Tolle would say, I surrender in this moment to what is. I surrender to non-resistance to what is. And in that, it allows a tremendous sense of peace and being and well-being to arise within me. So deep breath, bowing down. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese mindfulness teacher, always used to bow down in mindful walking. I bow down to the beauty of nature all around me. I bow down to this present moment, the only refuge from the wildness of my mind. And then in the practice, we move into the second pose, which is the container. And as I move into the container, I'm gathering all the parts of myself here in this moment today. I'm inviting all my thoughts to come home wherever they might be, whoever they might be with. And so all the thoughts come back to me, back into the container. And as I welcome them, really I'm receiving the energy that they have and letting the thought go. And it's that energy that really invites me more into allows me to be present, allows me to be more here. And in being more here, experience the wonderful quality of this present moment. Life is not just about survival, it's quality of living too. But oftentimes we're so absent, we miss the moment. So in spiritual well-being, we say the present moment is the destination. That's where we're heading for, not somewhere in the future, thinking that my happiness is based on some future set of circumstances. Rather, the present moment is where it's all at. And the deeper I go into my personal and spiritual journey, the deeper I go into the present moment. And a doorway opens up in that present moment that allows me to feel incredible well-being, connection and love as a state of living. However, in our second pose, the container, I'm inviting all my thoughts, emotions, physical sensations to be contained. I'm setting a boundary. I'm saying, welcome. Come back wherever you are, from the past, from the future. Come back into this moment with me as I offer a container, as I hold a space for you. And as I hold a space and a container, in mindfulness practice, I move into the observing self, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, the witnessing self. Oh, right now I notice I'm feeling a pain in my arms. I'm thinking about this, I'm feeling that. So rather than getting caught in the story of those things, I move back into the observing self. I notice, I make friends with, I'm aware of these things, but I'm not caught up in them. So breathing in, I notice now a heaviness and pain in my arms, and if I allow the energy of that pain to go up into my mind, and the critical mind gets a hold of it, it might say, oh, just put your arms down. What are you doing this for? It's just making you feel heavy. It's just making you feel pain in your arms. Stop it. It's not working. Instead, I move into a healthy observing voice rather than a critical one, and reframe it and say, I notice now some heaviness and pain moving through my arms. As my blood flows and my muscles warm up, it's releasing the pain that's already here. It's releasing the pain that's already here. Isn't it wonderful? I lean into and breathe into the pain. Pain is my friend. It's just another experience of being human. So this is our second pose, teaching. And of course then, in many ways, as all the energy of the thoughts come back to me into my pot, into my container, the energy that's coming back to me will seek to earth itself naturally. That's why in meditation, many times you see people at the beginning, even though they're not tired, sometimes you see their heads start to go down like this, because the energy's seeking to earth itself. So we move into, in this sense, we move into the grounding pose, the earthing pose, where we point our hands inwards and we go down, keeping the knees bent. We allow our energy to go down towards the ground, to earth itself, to find its ground. So in many ways, we started with a bow of humility, and in many ways what I love is that, what we're doing as we earth itself is we're finding our hummus. Hummus and humility have the same root. So one of the biggest challenges, for example, as Teresa of Avila, the Christian mystic, used to say in the first castle of the soul of the mystical work, is, the fear of humiliation. The fear of humiliation. And the antidote is humility. So that word humus basically means ground. If somebody is trying to humiliate me, it's an invitation to find my ground, to reconnect, to re-earth and anchor myself and allow my roots to keep me strong and resilient. So keeping my roots strong and resilient, letting the energy earth itself is so important. It's so important. And of course, psychologically, the energy is going down through my history. It goes back into my young adult self, my teenager, my child, the womb, and all the way back until it can find its earth, its roots, to keep me strong and stable. And once it finds its roots, and there's a stability and a connectedness, the energy then naturally begins to rise up again. And as it rises up, I move back into the container. Again, my anchor point. The container, this is my anchor point, the observing, holding a space mindfully for myself. I remember somebody once saying the difference between somebody who struggles and the mystic is they both swim out into the ocean, but the mystical person or the spiritual person has an anchor or a rope around themselves. And that's what we're developing here. That deep tethering that allows us to expand. So I move back, the energy naturally arises, I come back into a place of balance and equilibrium. And of course the thing is, this whole practice is based on the idea that just as we breathe, so does our psyche need to breathe. And the way that our psyche needs to breathe is what I call psychological breath. So as we move into the fourth pose, and we open and transcend and expand. So the psyche needs to expand, just like the in-breath. The psyche needs to expand and connect into the big self. It's a natural need. It's an instinct to transcend. One of the 5 instincts. To transcend and connect and to grow and to re-establish that sense of non-separateness. To learn new things. To learn new things about who I am as part of my family, my community, humanity, the world, the universe, oneness. Who am I as part of that? Sometimes the image I use is we are all these flowers in the field, each unique and beautiful. And in many ways it takes a while to get to know yourself as a flower and like yourself and relate to other flowers in healthy ways. And that's the work of personal development. But then, who am I as the field is the spiritual question. Who am I as the field that connects us all together? That's the real spiritual question. So now I'm breathing in, psychological breath, breathing in, transcending, connecting, opening, expanding, letting go of all my everyday thoughts and concerns. And then when I've expanded, of course, I come back to my container again. I come back to my container. Anchoring, observing, holding. And the second breath, the out breath, of course, then is the grounding, the integration. So psychologically, I breathe out, and I breathe in and expand, and I breathe out and I ground. And the psyche is doing this all day long. just as we breathe, the psyche is attempting to do this movement of reconnecting with oneness and the bigger part of my identity in every way possible. And then grounding and earthing that in my human self, in my human identity, so that I am this human being, but inside me lives the whole universe. So I'm embodying, as my Buddhist teacher once said, I'm embodying the absolute, but living in the relative world of form. So opening up to expansion, psychological breath, remember that's the key term, and then integrating, anchoring, integrating, earthing and grounding. And then of course we come back again to our 1, 2, 3, this is our fifth posture, which is the same. Well, our fifth posture is the heart, which we finished the practice with. So bringing the hands over the heart. And the heart very much goes with the container, the anchoring container, because the heart is very much about connecting to the energy of loving kindness, connecting to the energy of softness, of gentleness, of self-compassion. And we want to bring that energy of love and kindness and self-compassion into our mindfulness observing, into our anchor. I'm not just observing myself in an intellectual way, I'm observing myself in a kind way, in a gentle way, in an allowing way. Can I be kind to myself today? So that's where the heart comes in at the end, bringing ourselves, reconnecting into that deeper heart. And of course, sometimes we say a door opens in the center of our heart that connects us into oneness. My heart and the heart of the universe are one. And then we finally end the practice once more with the idea of, with our prayer pose, bowing down in gratitude to be here in this body, to experience all the experiences we have, challenging and easy, painful and pleasurable. As we say, pleasure or pain, I remain present in this moment, finding peace with every experience, finding stability, bringing love and compassion. Thank you.